So I always had the dream of going and recording in India. And so in 2010, we got a couple plane tickets, me and my buddy and co-producer Robin Livingston, and we flew over to India. And it was I've been to India a bunch of times, but there was something about this trip that was very different. We had no idea what this record was going to be about. We had no idea sort of the direction it was going to take, but India kind of sort of organized that for us. I think, one, because we had the purpose of just going and just being like a sponge and just soaking up everything we possibly could and then just transmitting it directly into the record. When we got there, it was just like, you know, India kind of opened up in front of us. We started recording and started bringing in these incredible like master musicians from South India in and just sort of fleshing it out. And then we had the inspiration, let's go on a pilgrimage while we're here. You know, we're in India, man. This is the mother of all pilgrimages. Where can we go that would be just epic? There's this incredible mountain called Arunachala in Tiruvannamalai. Every year around the full moon, hundreds and thousands of pilgrims gather around the base of this mountain and they circumambulate it, where they walk around the base. It takes about 8 hours, chanting, singing mantras, praying. And while they're circling around, they light the tip of the mountain so it becomes a candle. All these hundreds and thousands of pilgrims are swirling around the base. The entire mountain is just shining, and there's just blazing, like there's like this, it's like a lighthouse at the top. There's just an incredible flame. When I went, it was on the new moon, and I actually climbed to the top barefoot. And then when I got to the top, I sat, met with the sadhus, and did like a whole ceremony and ritual at the peak of the mountain. And we were just so infused and drenched with that. We were just like, wow, that slowly started to harden as our theme. Like, you know, this whole album is a pilgrimage. Now, that still didn't dawn on us, but we kept recording. And one day when I was cleaning up my room where we were staying at the studio, I just collapsed and fell to the earth. And it was just like an excruciating pain. It just came out of nowhere. So my friends who we were staying with, we all sort of agreed that going back to the mountain would be really a good move. So we decided to hop back in the minivan. We turned the stereo on and just sort of blasted music driving through India. And we finally made our way back to the mountain. And I can't say that we planned this, but we arrived on the full moon eclipse. So we arrive at the mountain, and there's just all this like energy. And then once we get there, just silence. The door slid open and we looked out, and in front of our eyes, the mountain, it was like Aurora Borealis, dude. The mountain was like luminous. And there was like this soft sort of glow, like this like spiritual steam rising off the mountain as all these throngs of people, like waves of people walking barefoot through the city, because the city kind of wraps around it. And so I got out, and I had a cane at that point because I was literally like crippled. And I was sort of limping. And gradually I kind of like, you know, put my hands around my buddy's shoulders, and we went, and we started in the night. And we ended up walking all night long as the moon rose, the eclipse happened, and just some phenomenal things happened that I can't explain. But that was one of the most magical nights of my life. Dude, I started crippled, and at the end I was in like Samastitihi again, dude. Like, it was seriously amazing. Like I you know, it's hard to explain. So then we got back after having that experience, and got back in the studio, and it just sort of folded into the music. And it wasn't about, for us, this trip wasn't about just like being on the sidelines. We were able to sort of pierce through the sort of the veneer and really have an immersive experience. And it wasn't like being a foreigner or being a tourist. It was like, for me, it was like being at home. The conversation that I want to have with the world is, how can we create sort of an ethos of what it means to be a pilgrim on the earth? You know, not showing up to the earth like a tourist, But how can we come to this earth and be like a pilgrim and really make this experience here like a pilgrimage? So that's the conversation I'm in, is like, what does it mean to be a modern pilgrim? How can we go with this intention to really see the self and like bring all this treasure that we discovered within ourselves and sort of share it? That's the intention behind this record and behind this journey, is to kind of share all the jewels that we discovered along the path, you know, traveling to the mountain.